Hey guys, you join me here in Nashville, Tennessee. That sounds like a James May opening. Sorry, James, I've been watching our man in Italy. Anyway, you join me here in Nashville for, I'm going to say, crawl around of this, the brand new 2023 Honda Civic Type R. And even though Alex has already done a video over at TFL Car, I thought I'd give you my take on this vehicle because, well, for the longest time, this vehicle was unobtainium here in America. I would go to Europe and I would see these Type Rs flying down the Autobahn and I would get so jealous. But in the previous generation, as you know, Honda decided that we were worthy of the Type R. They brought it here and now this is the newest one built on the Honda Civic hatchback platform. So everything that's new on the current and newest Honda Civic hatch is also improved and new on this. But let's start with what makes this so special, which is Honda says this is the most powerful Honda ever sold here in the United States. And that's because under the hood is this. Yeah, faked you out there, didn't I? Check it out. They took the engine out. It's, of course, a 2-liter, or is that turbo? There it is. Almost missed it. 2-liter turbo. On the old one, put out 306 horsepower. Honda's not yet announced how much this puts out, but the internet says it's 10 more horsepower and 20 more torques. So take that for what it's worth. Is it true? I don't know, but there it is in its glory for you to watch and learn and see and analyze. Oh yeah, enough of the engine. Let's talk about the car. What other things have changed? Of course, the styling is a little bit more toned down. It's a little bit less aero, shall I say. The other had all kinds of crazy aero going on. This is a little smoother, a little bit more mature, a little bit less boy racer, but they have gone with more rubber and I would say more track-worthy tires. So now we're looking at 265/30 ZR19, so bigger wheels as well. And these are Michelin's sticky rubber. So certainly racetrack is a fitting place for this. The other thing that makes this interesting, of course, is that the new body style gives it a much larger rear door, making getting in and out of it a lot easier. And of course, a typical signature of the Type R has always been the color red. It's in the badge, it's in the interior, it's on the seat belts, and it's in the French stitching over there and around the steering wheel. But before we get to that, let's kind of finish walking around. I do love this giant spoiler, and I suspect that this was developed in the wind tunnel, so not only is it badass, but it's also functional, and that's my guessing. But I do also love the 3 asymmetrical exhausts. Pretty cool, very unique. Usually you see 2 or 4, very rarely 3. And then of course, being a Civic, you still have all of the utility of a giant hatchback with foldable seats. Let's see what's under here. Look at that, a little fill-up kit for when you get a flat. Not in love with those, but you know what? These tires and wheels are so big that you probably have a hard time fitting it underneath that rear space without losing a lot of it. Now, probably the biggest issue that I had with this car in the previous generation is that it was, you know, a little too side bolstery. And what I mean by that is these bolsters were just a little too aggressive for my fat butt. So let's see if I do better now with the new interior. It's still squeezy, yeah, but not as much. The other ones were squeezy to the point of being uncomfortable. These are, I'd say, you know, good to hold you in place, but I could actually spend time behind the wheel of this car now. As you know, the new Civic has gone with a digital dash, and this one also has a digital dash. I'd love to start it up, but Honda has been so kind as to provide this car, but of course not provide the key, so I can give you an engine note, which would be badass. Now, carryover, at least in terms of number of gears, is a 6-speed manual with a big metal knob that gets a little hot in the sun, but nevertheless, I love the fact that it's a manual. Now we have different drive modes. I suspect that unlike the CR-V, which I recently drove in, there is a sport mode. And then this is kind of cool. You can see that these will be individually numbered. So this is R00000, 5 digits. Wow. And then, you know, Honda always is practical while being badass. So you're going to find things like a wireless phone charger, 2 cup holders, a small but deep cubby hole, a thick leather-bound steering wheel, volume here, volume there. Thank God they brought that back. Of course, your safety tech, lane keep, and you know, the signature in the Civic now is this like honeycombed vent, and in this car it's here as well, along with just a ton of red. So now that I've been sitting in the seat, I can actually probably tolerate it. It's at first when I got in, I was like, oh, this is going to be too pinchy, but it's not. Listen to this. There's this cliche in the automotive journalism biz called bolt action, like a bolt action rifle. And the best manual I've ever driven was the old Audi R8 with the manual. And this one feels nice and tight. I have to drive it to actually confirm that, but it does feel really good. No sunroof, and that's probably for weight savings, because sunroofs add a lot of, wonder what happens if I hit this button. You think it'll start? Oh, it didn't start. To start. Otherwise known as a no key, but that would have been cool, huh? But anyway, USB 2 ports, and then a 12 volt right there. And then of course I take it these are dual climate controls, so you and your best friend or worst enemy can argue about which side of the car you want, colder or hotter. Let's give the back seat a try. And of course, this is going to be very similar to any Civic. And now I've got the seat as far back as possible, which is very far back indeed, but because the latest generation of Civic is very big, look at this. I've got headroom, and I don't quite have leg room, but I do have these like 4-point or 5-point ready seat belts. Honda says that this will be different in the actual production version of the car. This is not the production version. This is one of the early prototypes, as you could tell by that number, 00000. Sometimes you guys ask us what happens to these, and I've asked manufacturers before, and the answer is no fun. They say that they get crushed. That crushes my heart, because it's, I'm sure, very much production ready. This is kind of cool. These tires are so wide that the little valve stem for the tires comes out, so you can get at it. How cool is that, huh? I wonder if this has any significance. Obviously it's fake, but I wonder why they did that. And then the couple changes that are wrong on this car is this Type R here is red, but if you're sticklers for details, which I know a lot of you are, this will be red as well. And then there's one, let's look under the hood. Might as well show you the whole thing while I'm here. It's very rare to get your hands on one of these, especially since they're not for sale yet. They will be for sale, of course, sometime this fall. It's as close as we can get. I also like the fact that this hood scoop, I believe, is completely functional. Let's find out. Oh yeah, completely functional. So this part right there, and I'm holding up the hood with one hand, this is going to be carbon fiber on this prototype. It's not giant air intake, which comes out of the real hood scoop. How cool is that? And then of course there is your Honda 2-liter, most powerful car that Honda has sold in the US ever. So let me know in the comments if you're jonesing for one of these. For me, this was always one of the apex predators out there in this kind of affordable performance segment. Cars, you know, like the WRX STI, the Golf R are just a couple that compete with this. But now you've got cars like the Model 3 Performance, which cost a lot more, but which in a straight line are just so much quicker. Around a track, I don't know, hard to say. I mean, look at those giant Brembos, right? That to me says that this thing's going to be track ready, and also a lot lighter than an electric car because it doesn't have all those batteries. So, you know, we're living in this time where we're switching from internal combustion to electrification. So if you love internal combustion, and I know many of you out there do, of course, red badge, classic Honda Performance, I suggest get yourself in line and get yourself one of these, because the next generation may be very, very different. Thanks again for watching. As always, this has been Roman. Check out alltfl.com for the latest and greatest. And remember, you saw it first on TFL Car. See you guys next time, and thanks for spending this 10 minutes with me. Ciao.